Okay. So today's session is about value-based questions, evaluations, and follow. So whenever we do a test or whenever we do something, we have to follow some strategies. So what are the evaluation strategies that we are going to follow? So according to the strategy, we will expect the results also. So then once the result is known to us, what do we do to improvise the result, or how do we follow up to make the result look better, or where is that we are lagging behind, or what is that we need to do from our side, from the point of view, everything. So we have to analyze and we have to definitely follow up the evaluation that has been done. So today let's start with the value-based questions. So what are values? Let us go to that first. What are values? Teachers, any idea? There are a lot of things to be discussed about value.
Values is something which is important for us, and it varies from individual to individual. Maybe,
Yes,
uh, for example, if I value respecting people, and if someone else is like they value their growth, so it depends on each and every person.
right. Yes, ma'am. It differs from person to person, that all of you will accept. So values are individual beliefs that motivate people to act one way or another. They serve as a guide for human behavior. So if we don't have values, then we are all uh, we would say we are not human beings. So that is that which makes a lot of difference from the uh, in humans and the humans. So values are individual beliefs that acts in one way or another, and it is a important tool that shapes the human behavior. So now it's important to have values imparted to children. Ma'am, Likita ma'am, can you please mute? Likita ma'am, can you please mute? Likita ma'am, can you please mute? Thank you, ma'am. Right. So children adopt values that they are raised with and tend to believe that those values are right because they are the values of their particular culture. So here, when we look at this particular point, I think all of you will believe and accept, and you would have experienced also by your years of experience that children listen and they believe whatever the values
Excuse
that
me,
the
ma'am.
teacher
Charles, ma'am, can
teaches
you
in
able
the
to
school.
hear me? I've
Yes,
joined
ma'am.
through. Okay, ma'am. I joined through phone. I think some issues with my
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
computer. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
So children adopt the values that they are raised with. So in a school, it's very important that the teachers, whatever they speak, they behave with the children. They act, they think thoughts, their deeds, everything reflect on the children's behavior. That is very, very important because children believe that their teachers are the heroes and heroines. They trust the teachers, and you would have experienced that some children, even by mistake, if the teacher has said something wrong, they wouldn't accept that if somebody corrects it also. So whatever values that we impart to children at this particular formative years is very, very important because those values are the values that long last throughout their life, and it shapes their behavior. So it is very important from the teacher's side give right values to the children so that they believe that those values are always right because children believe whatever the teachers say. and those values become a part of culture also. So now what are the, look at this small poster what has been attached. So what are all the things that you achieve through these values? Excellence, work-life balance, growth, achievement, consistency, accountability, personal growth, so success, faith openness, quality service, integrity, and so lot commitment and correctness, orientation, orientation, particulation. So all these are added values which we gain through the right values that is imparted to the children. Now, what comes the very important question? What is value education? Ma'am, we are doing maths, and why should we impart value education to the children? Now comes a real question. So, any subject for that matter, look at any subject. The subject doesn't deal only with the concepts and the topics that we are teaching. It doesn't deal only with that. If you look at the NEP skills that is being given to us by the government and the CBSE, as we discussed already, the three main domains are to be imparted to children: the affective domain, psychomotor domain, and the cognitive domain. All those things are given due importance. Can you just suggest why? I am a maths teacher. Why not I just go to the class, teach only the maths concepts and come? I am an English teacher. Why should I go to the moral values? Why should I teach value education? Why should I relate these values in my subject? I am a science teacher. I have a lot of things to do in my science period. I have a lot of experiments to be completed. Why am I to bring in all these values into my subject? Can you teachers please suggest? Shall we discuss about this?
Yes, ma'am. The value education also helps the students to become more and more responsible and sensitive.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
That is, yes. Any other point? Why should values be embedded into the subject?
Ma'am, having only knowledge is of no good. A person who is less knowledgeable, even if that person is having value, that person is far better than the person who's having only knowledge but no values. So for example, when we are teaching any subjects, like for that matter, if we are teaching students about how to calculate the speed, and we are comparing two persons going with the different speed and using different cars to reach the same destination, we can add the values like, what do you think when they were starting from the same place and going to the same place? Can they take same car, and can they go to the same place in the same car and save the fuel? Which they can use later on. If that can be added to the question, that would be another thing.
Right. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. So it is not only the duty of the value education teacher to impart all these values. It's the duty of every teacher to impart these values to the children so that they develop holistic in their formative years. That is very, very important. Holistic development of the children is only expected when you look at the NEP skills. That is what is expected. They didn't expect us only to teach the concepts. That's all. I set a question paper. I go to the class. I teach the formulas. I ask them to do the sums. That's all. Come out of the class, set a question paper, give homework, correct the homework, finished. So my duty does not end there. What should go take an extra mile to impart all these values in your subject. That is very, very, very important. So how am I going to do this? So let's see what is value education. Value education is learning about self and wisdom of life, the knowledge of life, learning about oneself in a self exploratory, systematic, and scientific way through formal education. So, formal education is the one we talk about. They come to the school. It's not informal education. We are talking about only formal education where children come to the school, learn their subjects along with the values. So it is education is nothing but learning about self and wisdom of life in a self exploratory. They analyze, they explore themselves in a systematic and scientific way through formal education. So themes that value education can address to varying degrees are character, moral development, religious education, spiritual, citizenship education, personal development, social development, and cultural development. So even apart from all these things, there are a lot of developments that happen when there is a value education imparted to the children in their formative years. We have listed only very few. So overall, they develop holistically. I can simply put it in a simple word saying that holistic development of children happens when value education is imparted to them at the right age. That is very important, at the right age. Now, now look at the next slide. When I go to the next slide, now where comes these values in my teaching in my subject? So importance of value-based teaching and learning. Importance of value-based teaching and learning in school. Education at school forms the base for a child. I think all of you agree on this, right? Without education, anything nowadays. Education is very, very important. And that too in the formative years, if they miss their education, then it is very difficult for them to cope up. Now, education is not confined to the books, but all around development. That is what I was talking about now. Education is not confined to the books, but all around development. All around development, which means they should excel in sports, they should excel in academics, they should excel in values, they should excel in discipline, they should excel in their character and behavior and whatnot. All these developments, whatever we listed, comes under this. So education, whatever we give, is not only confined to the books, but all-round development of the child. Next one is have a touch of humanity. That is very important. Nowadays, we don't find these amongst the youngsters because we are so busy that we don't even look at what is the problem that my neighbor is facing, what my partner is facing. This happens many a times in schools where it is only a girls oriented or a boys oriented, a group of children. They don't even realize or try to understand why the person sitting next to her or next to him is sad. What is the problem? Why is it that she's not able to do her work? Why is she so sad? All those things we don't expect the child to do. Why? Because they are not bothered about others. So here, if there is a touch of humanity, they care for others. The caring for others starts in the formative years only because they are very innocent. So imparting that touch of humanity in the formative years is very important for their overall development of the character and the development of the child in the later years. Right steps to reach goals in life. I have a lot of goals in my life. Now, how am I going to reach the goal? I have to take the right path. So the child should be able to identify the different paths that is open to her or him and choose the right one, avoid the one which is not right, take the guidance of the elders, take the guidance of the parents, and then reach the goal in life in the correct way. That is very, very important. There are ways to reach goals. So these goals in life, when you look at that goal, when they are very small, say up to 10 years, so their maximum goal will be to pass in the examination, score very high marks in the exam. Right, teachers? Yes, their ultimate goal will be to get very good marks. Maybe it can be subject wise or it can be overall wise. So here, what is the right step? They have to hard work. They have to put in their soul and heart to get good marks. Their hard work will definitely be paid will pay a good result for them. They deserve for their hard work. So rather, if I don't put in my hard work, I try to cheat the teachers or I get into some unfair means to get good marks. So that is not the right step. That is definitely not the right step. Going a step ahead. Some children, if they haven't prepared well, they try to bring down others' score by getting into some mischievous things, hiding their notebooks, tearing their notebooks, or scribbling in their notebooks wherein they cannot study in the last minute. All these also happens many a times. Many a times. We come across all these situations and we come across all these types of uh, incidents in their formative years which diverts their goal in the wrong path. Of course, their path is what to see. Their goal may be to get very good marks, but are they choosing the right path? Definitely no. So it is the importance of the teacher to guide them and motivate them and deviate them from the path that is not right, get into the right path, and then achieve the goal in life. Of course, peers play a major role in shaping the children at these levels, because we say children spend most of the time in school. Of course, it is right. But apart from that, when they go home, they spend the rest of the time at home, where the peers influence also matters a lot. If they are with a good set of peers, they get good values. If their peers are not, definitely they get into the wrong path. Right. So now what are the benefits? Okay, that's what we discussed now. Yes, when I teach value-based education at school, what am I going to get? So benefits of teaching value-based education at school. This enhances quality teaching and enables teachers to raise the students' performance. So it not only shapes the child's character. Once the character is built, everything is built. But if the character is lost, everything is lost. So it enables the child to develop her character, her behavior, and also to raise the students' performance, to improve their performance in uh, overall subjects. Students show increased attentiveness in the class. That is very important. Many times we have come across children being inattentive in the class. Just because they are inattentive, they try to disturb others. So they try to spoil the class also. So when their values are good, when their goals are in the right path, they show a lot of attentiveness in the class. To be attentive makes them learn a lot, by which they gain the knowledge. Increase in responsibility and work together more cooperatively. So increase in responsibility. They are volunteering to take up responsibilities, new responsibilities. not only like becoming a class leader or a school people leader or a group leader like that. They share the responsibility of helping others, sharing their knowledge with others, and they like to work together in a very cooperative way, wherein there is no disturbance, where there is no fight, there is no quarrel amongst the children. Next, they become more tolerant and make classrooms, here there is a small error in spelling, kindly excuse us, and make classrooms, just playgrounds safer, especially if it is a boys' school, entirely a boys' school. Children are out of their control when they get into the playgrounds. The moment they step into the playgrounds, they become uncontrollable. So what happens is it is a very difficult task for a teacher and for the parent, for that matter, to control the class and bring them into an order. So it is, so when these values are imparted to the children, they become more tolerant towards that particular teacher or that particular class, and they make the classrooms and playgrounds environment. Develop the children into people with strong character. I think we have discussed about this enough of it. So these are the benefits of teaching value-based education at school. Apart from these listed ones, if you have anything else, teachers feel free to discuss. Have you come across any other values or any other benefits if you impart value education at school level? Yes, teachers, we have listed only few.
So not only the school gets benefited, even the children also get benefited.
Yes.
So
Have
these
you
are the
observed their languages, teachers?
yes.
In this value education goes for a toss. Have you observed their languages? I think all of you would have observed that. Yes. Any other points?
I did not get the question you asked actually.
Yes.
No, ma'am is asking any other benefits of value education. As when it happens, it not only benefits the students but also the school. As teachers, we also benefit from teaching value education, because as listed here, our work becomes easy because the children are more regulated, they behave well in the class. So these are all the benefits to the school when value education takes place. So we just want a feedback as to if you can add more points as how the school gets benefited because of the value-based education.
Or individual benefits.
Ma'am,
Or individual benefits, anything.
Yeah, I feel when we teach them value education, there are some values which we learn from them also, because it's a two-way transaction.
Yes.
And in that way, we ourselves will become a more informed and more better person in future. That's what I feel.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So
Ma'am,
true.
they get self-discipline too, ma'am. When they are learning all these values, no, the self-discipline is also increased to the students, ma'am, so that the school gets the disciplined children.
Yes.
Self-discipline is developed, ma'am.
Yes, when we teach all these values to children, there is
And it leads to a disciplined way of behaving, ma'am.
it also forces or gives us pressure to act as a very good role model for them. And that way, I think even teachers also become a better version of ourselves, because we feel that the need to be a role model for those children in a positive way. So that way it benefits the teacher and the student also.
When
Ma'am, not only the school, ma'am, the country also get a good citizen.
Yes, that is why we said good citizenship education, because they grow up.
Sharing and helping makes the first step of the child to mingle with other child, and the basic values were improved there, ma'am. In peer group learning, it is there. When
Yes.
brighter children will help the slow
Yes,
learners,
ma'am.
automatically it will be grasped easily,
Yes.
and he has the tendency to share the knowledge too, ma'am.
Yes, not only caring and sharing, empathy also. Definitely the
Yes, ma'am.
child feels for the person who's not able to do the problem and it's very eager to help the child. So the feeling of empathy is also definitely realized by the child.
Making the child to think in a friendly manner, even though they are all classmates. So everything should be viewed in a friendly manner. So all are your should be seen as a friend. So automatically he will have no other ideas of a harsh way of speaking and talking about others. So all the children have to have the mindset of thinking that all are our friends.
Yes.
So all the
Yes.
good things will happen, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. True. So the overall development of the child happens not only inside school, but also towards the peers and even at home also, and in the society. Especially their values are making them as a strong citizen in the society.
Ma'am, they will be honest to others and they will respect others. They know their ethics. They will know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, true. So now let's discuss about the benefits of value-based education to students. So here again, we are listing what is that benefits the students out of this. Students understand their work and their lives more deeply. So what is my responsibility as a student? What should I do at this age? What should I not do at this age? All these are totally understood by the child, and they live to that to make their lives more better. It promotes continuous improvement of personal, social, moral, and economic well-being. So here again, we all spoke about their overall development. Yes, it includes everything. So the improvement happens not only personally, socially, morally, and economic well-being of the child. It provides a mechanism for self-regulated behavior. So once they adapt all these values, once they imbibe all these values, automatically they are streamlined in such a way that their behavior will be very good and it will be a modified behavior. So they are getting into mechanism. It is like a mechanism in the sense they cannot look at doing wrong things. They look at those wrong things at all. So they are self-regulating themselves by these values. It teaches socially acceptable behavior. It is very, very important. Social acceptance is very important, as social awareness is very important. Come to know so many things where we always speak about children should be aware of what is happening in the society. Social awareness is very important. At the same time, the acceptance is also important. So it teaches socially acceptable behavior, and it helps individual become responsible and sensible. So all these things you teachers already discussed. So we have just listed whatever children gain out of this. So their overall improvement in all parts of life, is shown here, and it imparts greater value to the children also. Now, how do I put these value-based into my subject or in my content? That is very important. So we have discussed everything now. What is value? What is a value? What are values? What are the benefits that the teacher gets out of teaching value-based learning? And what is that the student gains out of learning value education? All that we discussed. What is the society going to gain? All that we discussed. Now comes the challenge for the teachers. How am I going to input all these questions in my content? It is very important. So what type of questions can I put into my content? Self-awareness, empathy, critical thinking, creative thinking, decision making, problem solving, interpersonal relationships. So first when you look at that self-awareness, can you teachers just suggest what is that a child should be aware of? Self-awareness. Self-awareness. The child should be aware of herself first. Self-awareness is very important if you have to improve your thoughts, if you have to improve your values, if you have to improve others' well-being, or first of all, you have to improve your own well-being. For everything, to self-realize yourself. Who am I? What am I strong? Where am I lacking? All these self-introspection is very important. So when you look at that, self-awareness is very important. So questions, whatever we frame, should be in such a way that the child has to analyze by herself. Now, there was a simple question I would like to share it with you, what we have given in class 1, this self-awareness. For example, it was like a crayon. The question was based on the crayon, if I'm right. If it's not color pencil, it is a crayon. It is just a comparison. The content, what I'm going to teach them is only comparison of numbers, that was small numbers, that's all. I had, say, a dozen crayons or something like that. My friend, I did not mention the name at all. My friend Dash had 9 crayons, in which she did not have some colors. When she is having 9 colors, of course, she will not be having some colors in her. Now, the question is very simple. What would I do to help my friend complete her work? So here I did not mention the name of the child or name of the friend. So what will the child do when she come across such situations? Automatically this will reflect in her mind, looking at, I have so many. I have the entire 12 means I have the entire set of crayons. Whereas my friend, she is not having few crayons. Maybe some say 3 crayons or 4 crayons, which she definitely needs to complete the work. So what am I going to do? I'm going to definitely help my friend. Why did I give a dash in the name of her? I said, my friend Dash had 8 crayons or 7 crayons or 9 crayons. It may be X one day, it may be Y another day, and it may be Z on some other day. So whoever it is not only my close friend whom I'm going to help. I'm going to whoever it is, and whoever is not having that particular crayon with her. Now the question was, after this, would you like to share crayons with your brother or sister, or your classmate, or a friend of yours in another section? So when this is an open-ended question, this is an open-ended question. So children will just think over, is it going to be confined with my friends, or I'm going to extend it with my family members, that is my brothers and sisters, or am I going to extend it to the next coverage class? If she's not my classmate, but she's a friend of mine who is in the neighboring section. So this is self-awareness. The child is going to introspect how generous and how she is going to lend a helping hand in making others complete the work. Of course, empathy is also looked upon here. So self and empathy goes hand in hand. Next is the critical thinking. Of course, whenever we talk about value-based questions, it has to definitely improve their thinking skills. Not only a self-awareness and empathy, it should definitely create lot of thinking. And how should that thinking be creative? It should be creative, not a copy of someone else. After it is being very creative, how am I going to make a decision? How am I?
நீ அதை கையில வச்சுட்டு நெக்க கஷ்டமா இருக்குமேன்னு அவன் கேட்டேன்.
Ma'am, Kala Ranjani ma'am, can you please mute?
10 10
Ma'am, can you please mute? Yes. So we were talking about critical thinking. Of course, it should develop critical thinking, and that critical thinking should lead to creative thinking. Once you arrive at some creativeness, I have a decision and analyze whether it is going to be right or wrong. Then use that decision to solve the problem. And of course, finally, to develop interpersonal relationships. Finally, to develop interpersonal relationships. So the value-based questions that we are going to give it to the children should cater to all these needs. Definitely, at least a few of them. At least a few of them. It should not be a very simple question saying that will you help your friend? No, they will write simply no. Without even thinking, they will come out with the answer saying no. If they have not really imbibed the values, they will simply arrive at an answer saying no. Why no? They introspect why it is no. Or if yes, in what way? To whom? In what sense? So all these things definitely can be discussed. Then remember, put questions in such a way that develops all these thinking, decision making, problem solving, creative thinking, and of course, finally the interpersonal relationships. Just one example I gave you, that's all. And there was another very good example I would also like to share. I think Shobna ma'am, you remember that not children. I think it was a boy who went to his uncle's for a get together or something like that. Yes, do you remember that, ma'am? That question?
Yes, ma'am. I think I've listed the question from our publications in the following slides, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. That we will discuss it later.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, when it comes to that, we will discuss. Okay. So, ma'am has listed some of the value-based questions. Yes.
This is from our publication.
This is from our publication. This is for class 1.
Yes, ma'am.
I think teachers, all of you can look at this question. It is a very interesting question and with the need of power, I would say. Rama and her friends went to the beach. There were 12 plastic bottles lying in that part of the beach. So it is not very easy for the first standard child to clean the entire beach, get into the beach campaign, cleaning beach campaign, all that. It is not possible for a class 1 child. One part of the beach, say a small portion of the beach. She saw some 12 plastic bottles lying on that part of the beach. So they picked up 8 bottles and dropped them in the dustbin. How many plastic bottles are still lying on the beach? So they haven't cleared that part only. So they here the content is, of course, subtraction. Of course, the subtopic what we are going to deal with them is subtraction. The concept is subtraction. It's not a direct question of subtract 12 bottles minus 8 bottles and get the answer. No, that everybody can do. As a math teacher, we can give them n number of questions like that. So what is that value that we are giving them? Of course, they will find out the answer. Yes. Now come to the value part of it. Why should I take the example of cleaning the beach or a part of a beach? And why is it that it is a plastic bottle? Because we come across these plastic bottles lying everywhere in the roadside, in the beach, or wherever you look. It is only that plastic bottles. That is a big hindrance to the society. Now, is it good to use plastic bottles? Yes or no? Now they think, why is it that those plastic bottles are left unused? If it would have been a steel bottle, will they leave like that? Definitely nobody will leave it. They will all take it back home because it is very costly and they know that it is reusable. They know it is reusable. Why did they throw these plastic bottles? Because it is not reusable. And if they are going to use it again and again, it's going to harm their lives. So they know pretty well that it is not good for the society's well-being, for their own selves and for their own health also. So drop those plastic bottles. Why do you think so? It's a very simple question for a class 1 child. You may not believe they will come up with so many beautiful answers. We might think they are very small children. After all, 6-year-old child, will they be able to analyze why is it plastic not important? They would have seen this kind of scenario in their house itself. Now, in most of the homes, we have done away with these plastic bottles, even plastic containers for that matter. And of course, the mothers, they would insist children using their steel bottles, steel tumblers, or glass tumblers for that matter. So they will just think over it. Why is it not advisable to go to these plastic bottles? And after using that, why do we throw it everywhere? Now, how can you help to keep the beach clean? Is it only the plastic bottles that is being littered in the beach? Now comes the next question. No, there are papers, there are all sorts of things, the eatables, the unused eatables, everything is thrown in the beach. So beach is not a place to throw the unwanted things or the things which we don't like. So how should a beach look like? Now the next question, how should a beach look like? Do we all like a clean beach or a beach which is littered everywhere? So now the next part of it, draw a picture of a clean beach and color it. So here, if you look at this question, we have put one value-based question. We have brought in the concept inside that. And if you look at that, of course, it can be made as an experiential learning question, because when we take children to, say, a park or a planetarium or a museum or whatever it is, it need not be only beach. So wherever they go, after using their things, the unwanted things, the waste should go into the dustbin. That is the value they get. Then that is by experience they come to learn. Even in the school playground, even in the classrooms, after eating, they have to keep their place clean. The things should go into the dustbin. Next comes this, see, this question is integrating so many things: value-based question, subject-based question, experiential learning. Now comes the fun part of it, the part of it also. Draw a picture of a clean beach and color it. You might think this is not suitable for a class 1 or for a math subject. Of course, it is very important. If you don't want the beach to be like this, then what is your expectation? Show your expectation in the form of art. So draw a picture of a clean beach and color it. So many things are getting involved into it. So it's not only the content that we talk about. Next is another value-based question. This is I think,
Class 2, ma'am.
yes, ma'am. This is for class 2. We have a similar one for class 1 also. Write the months in which your family members were born. It need not be the only their brothers and sisters. If they are so very particular about their cousins, they might bring them into it also. So write the months in which your family members were born. Of course, the concept what we are expecting the child to learn is the months of the year, all the months of the year. Then, of course, finding out the month, the birthdays or the birth months of their family members or their extended family members also. This is a very simple question. Of course, they try to get in the data. If you look at this question, it is, of course, you can relate this question in the time chapter or the calendar chapter or a step taking it to the handling data chapter also. Because they are trying to collect the data. This question can be modified in different ways. This question can be modified in different ways. We have given their family members. It can be their friends. It can be their classmates. It can be their neighbors. It can be their cousins. So many things. So these things which we ourselves can develop. Which itself has the, ma'am, is my data, it is showing my data connection is unstable. Are you all able to see, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Little
Yes.
bit we had some disturbance, but now it's okay.
Right, ma'am. Thank you. So, of course, here two topics are involved in this. One, of course, where the child needs to go and collect the data. After collecting the data, she has to put it in the order. So two topics are involved in this, and which also gives them some values that once they get to know these birthday months, what are they going to do? So here in our school, children are taught to wish a person who is celebrating his or her birthday
Sanskrit.
The Sanskrit sloka from the chapter 36 of the Yajurveda. It's a very nice sloka. By due course, all the children, they learn it thoroughly and they like to chant this sloka to bless the person or to wish the person who is celebrating the birthday in the school. So they all love to do it. And if you also want it to be done, you can also take it forward in your school and also follow this. Teachers, I think all of you can go through it. If anybody is good in chanting the Sanskrit sloka, you can very well do so. I think I'm giving time. Teachers, please just go through that. We will definitely feel the essence of it.
So that birthday question which was given in the previous slide is being followed by this sloka as well. So the children are, the cultural heritage of the country, the rich Sanskrit language, are all the learnings, value learnings which are taking place in this question. So they not only know that it is the, there is the other way of even singing on a birthday, not from the routine happy birthday to you song. And this is the one which has been in our culture and heritage for a long time. So they learn this cultural value also from this value-based question after doing that maths problem. So this note follows that question.
Yes, ma'am.
Next slide. Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Teachers,
Next slide.
next slide, or you want to just go into this slide once again, or you want to read this slide once again? You want some more time to read this?
The meaning of the Sanskrit verse is also given at the bottom in English so that the children can learn the meaning as well.
Shall I go to the next one, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So the next question, this is an example from class 3. Kirtana has rupees 6,420 in her savings account. She withdrew rupees 1,900 in June and rupees 1,675 in July to donate for Dan Utsav organized in her school. Find the balance amount in her account. So the question is, do you donate for needy people? So the question is, here is we have a festival called Dan Utsav organized in our school, where we keep boxes and children can donate all their old dresses, old books, notebooks, toys, their library books, whatever they have learned. They have read so many times, they feel they don't need it. Is all being passed to children who are in a less fortunate society. So we have the festival called Dan Utsav where children participate. So in this sum, we say so much money is there in savings account. So we talk about why people need to save. So why do you think even as a child, when you get some pocket money, what is the importance of savings? Why should a person save, or should a person spend what she is earning, or should she take some loan and overspend? So all these things can be discussed. And she withdrew this amount in June and July to donate for Dan Utsav. So we ask how privileged they are. I think children nowadays, they always keep wanting for more without understanding how privileged they are. So we talk about the unprivileged students and who are all in need of even the essentials, and how do they feel when they donate something for such a child. And we have given an open-ended question like, do you want to donate for needy people, and what do you feel? What do you like to donate to such people? So all those things, when this exercise is being done in class, a little bit of value education also happens, so that they are more empathetic towards children who are from less privileged families. So now class 4, Anand Philip.
Ma'am, just a
Yes,
minute, ma'am. In Dan Utsav, for the past 2 years, we couldn't go in person to help the children or to the society. So children were asked to do that individually if it is possible, and just give us the feedback about that. That was also going on during the past 2 years. That is during the COVID times. During the COVID times, many children, in fact, our school children also, some of them have lost their fathers, their mothers, their extended family, their own grandmothers, grandfathers, their neighbors. And there were children who were pushed into the lower economic strata because of this unprecedented COVID scenario. So in such cases, we asked children to find out those kind of children and help them in their own way. It need not be monetary wise alone. It need not be monetary wise. We don't always speak about monetary help. There are a lot of ways to help them by sharing their notes, by helping them with some books, by finding out what medicines or what kind of help they need from the other end. There are a lot of things, small things. So these kind of help was also given to those, like ma'am said, the needy. I would say just put it as needy. And the year before COVID, children were taken to Goshala. Dan Utsav it's not only for the welfare of the human beings, but also for the welfare of birds and animals. So they were taken to the Goshala, and before that itself, we asked for the needs of the Goshala, what was the shortage that they were having, where they found it very difficult to run the Goshala. So children were asked to bring things that would serve the need of the Goshala. It was like fruits, vegetables, and things that the cattle would need to survive. So we didn't expect such an overwhelming response, and you will not believe, teachers, we have to arrange for a mini lorry to take all those things. And in that Goshala, there were around some 2,000 cows, and feeding those 2,000 cows is a very hectic task, and it's a Herculean task every day for them. So they need to get the support from different point of contact. So at one point, when they were all running short of the sources to feed the cattle, they approached us. And of course, it was luckily during the month of October where we organized this Dan Utsav. So it was so we made that Dan Utsav in a different way. Like instead of serving the people, let us this time serve the birds and animals. And one part of the contributions that we got was also given to SPCA. One part of the group went to SPCA, one part of the group went to Goshala. It is, of course, every year we go to the Little Flower Convent. I think most of you are aware of that Little Flower Convent, which is done for the physically challenged children. So every year we help them. We try to get their need beforehand, so that we are in a situation to give what they wanted. It is just dumping whatever we don't need to somebody else. It is not at all like that. We have to find their need and then help them. That is very important. So every year we just try to recollect what they want, what they need that particular year. So we just keep the children informed about it. And of course, teachers, please remember, it is purely their own volunteering. Nobody is compelled at any point of time. We don't compel any child. It is purely voluntary.
Yes,
please continue.
So class 4, the question is, Anand celebrated his birthday by cutting a homemade cake. He and his friend ate 3/8 of the cake. He took the remaining cake to an orphanage near his house and shared it with children there. What is the fraction of the cake he shared? Would you like to celebrate your birthday in an orphanage? Yes or no? So I think this question, children are just they might for the first time see the word something called as orphanage. They are very curious to know what is that. So they ask the teacher, what does it mean? So I think it is really an eye opener that they realize that there are children like them without a proper home, without having parents, and what are the difficulties they might face in life, and what is the kind of life they would lead in an orphanage, and how do they celebrate their birthdays. And we normally see the extravagance that the children are exposed to by the parents in the name of birthdays and parties and everything. So the child has to be made aware of in this age, and made and also to be made sensitive about the needs of less privileged children, and also to be made realized as to how privileged he is, so that he shows his gratitude to his parents. So in this question, as this involves only mathematics, if you look at it per se, but if you see inside, it has a lot of values which the child learns by understanding this question. So would you like to celebrate your birthday in an orphanage? Say yes or no. You can always, the child knows that that is also an option. And if he is more, some children, those who are more interested, can take it on a personal level and do it. And the more important thing is, what I would say is, if some child say has written no, I would not like to celebrate or something, let us not judge the child as she's not sensitive or something, because we can only assume that the the maturity level may be a little bit less in this age, and the child will become more sensitive as she grows up, because maybe the exposure to the uh, uh, real world for this child is not enough in her family surroundings. Because when you give such questions, some children might write, no, I would like to celebrate only with my family in a nice hotel or something like that. So let us not be let us not judge the child as she's not sensitive and then pull her up and give her a sermon on value education. Maybe we can explain it on a broad basis in the classroom, but let us give time for the children to mature and understand for themselves. But as teachers, it is our duty to at least expose the children, so that at least few children take it up as they grow
Of course,
into
these two
adults.
questions, it is value based, concept based, and of course, both are experiential learning. Only if they experience that, they'll feel that happiness.
Yes, yes.
So all the three are involved. So our questions are not only value based and concept based, it should also integrate some more. Shall I go to the next one, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. So now I think the topic of value-based education and the questions on how to set it and examples is over. So as teachers, you can also create value-based questions, just like thoughts. So the next topic comes is after we include everything, experiential learning, and then thoughts and value-based questions. We have taught the content. So now the final step is to do an assessment and evaluation. So there are two kinds of things. One is an assessment and one is an evaluation. So what is that which is an assessment and what do you mean by evaluation? So we say formative assessment. We kept on saying summative assessment. We keep saying midterm test. We keep saying quarterly, half yearly, term end exam or annual exam. So which comes under assessment and which comes under evaluation? Before that, we will understand what is an assessment. So what is assessment? Assessment is the purpose of assessment is to gather relevant information about student performance and to determine the student interest to make judgments about the learning process. So for example, a small class test could be an assessment. We take a topic and to check whether the child has understood or not, we keep a small test. So that is an assessment, a math lab activity to judge a child's clarity in concept is an assessment. A small midterm test what we conduct is an assessment, because assessment is not only for the student, but the results of the assessment or the results of the class test or how the children perform the process in the math lab also gives a feedback to the teacher as how whether the child has understood the concept or not. So if we see half the class getting less than 40% in that particular topic in the class test, then immediately we have to rethink our strategy as to how we have taught them, because 75% of the class has not understood, and then we have to replan on how we are taking that concept to the class and then reteach them, and so that that learning objective is done. So many a times this happens. Some topic we teach, the children will find it difficult. We keep a small test and see if many of them do not understand the concept. Then we come to the class and tell, yesterday I corrected your papers. I found most of them could not understand this problem. So this is how you should deal with it. So this is also a learning process for the teacher and the student to fill in the gaps in learning. So this is the main objective of assessment. Whereas so as you see, assessment is it can be decided by the class teacher. It is individual, it can be individual based. You can select some 5 students and give them a particular type of question. You can select the high achievers and give them a set of questions. And you can decide it when you're going to have. So it is all in the teacher's hands. So that type of testing, which is a feedback to the teacher and the student, is called as assessment. So what is evaluation? Evaluation is the systematic process of determining to what extent instructional objectives has been achieved. So evaluation, when you say evaluation, evaluation is based on guidelines. It has been set for the entire school, for the entire class, and you have a very rigorous model which you should follow. For example, the blueprint of setting the question paper. So the marks has been given, the date has been announced, there is no deviation, and everybody is being tested on a uniform basis. So this is evaluation, and in evaluation, it is only like an end game. You judge the child based on her performance in evaluation, because there is no immediate feedback there. You come, you correct the answer papers, you take their grades, you list them. So there is no there is no immediate feedback to improve the performance. This is like the end of the performance where you are judging the child based on the performance. So after continuous assessment, so that is why we say we should have 3 or 4 assessments in between before you finally evaluate the child's performance, so that all the gaps can be filled through the method of assessment. So these are broadly the differences between assessment and evaluation. So as in common terminology, if you want me to say, we could say all our midterm tests, class tests, projects, everything is an assessment, and all our quarterly exam, half yearly exam, term and yearly exam, however you call it, all those are the instruments where we evaluate a child. Yes, ma'am. Next slide. Yes, so now I've listed the differences between assessment and evaluation. So assessment is ongoing. Every day you can do an assessment. At the end of every class, you can throw 4 or 5 questions to the child and then assess whether that day's topic has been learned by the child. So assessment is ongoing. It improves learning quality. It is individualized. So supposing you find a very weak child, you can pose her a different set of questions to her. You pick up the strong ones. You can give a more tougher representation of the concept to those children to encourage them. So it is all individualized. It is ungraded. As we say, when we go and watch a math lab activity, in a math lab, we don't grade the children there. So this assessment can also be an ungraded activity. We don't grade the children in math lab. We just observe them learning, exploring, which is also a feedback for us as to whether the concept taught in the class is understood by the child, and she exhibits all the skills in the math lab and always provides feedback. So the purpose of the assessment is to always provide feedback. It can be feedback to the student, and it also provides feedback to the teacher. It is process oriented. So the purpose of assessment itself is to correct the process. Any gaps are there that needs to be corrected. So it is process oriented, so that the flow of the concept is and the learning objectives met is very seamless across the chapters. And of course, you would have understood by now, it is very flexible. You can have it at the end of the class. You can announce a class test. You can take them to a math lab. You can bring them to the ground and give them an activity which is connected to the concept. It is all very flexible. So when it comes to evaluation, for example, you consider the term end examination. The purpose there is to evaluate the child. So it provides a closure. It judges the learning level. So evaluation is always very judgmental, because the child gets some marks and then you judge the learning level of the child based on the marks the child has got. And it is applied against standards. So there is a set standard, there is a uniform standard, the blueprint of the question paper, there is a set syllabus against which the child has to prepare. So everything is standardized here. And of course, it is graded, it is recorded, and it shows shortfalls. So definitely when the mark has come down, it shows shortfalls. When when the child has done very well and scores high marks, it shows excellence of understanding in that particular subject. And it is always product oriented. So we only see the end product. In evaluation, the concentration is in the end product only. And of course, when we say uniform methods, we say it is uniform for the entire classroom. For example, we have 5 sections of class 3 in a school. It is all uniform. The questions are all uniform. The testing methods are all uniform for all the 5 sections of the class. Yes, teachers, you have any questions to be asked about assessment and evaluation? Is this concept clear about what is an assessment and an evaluation, and what are the
Yes, ma'am. In the assessment, we have flexible methods. We adapt different methods for children of different categories. Suppose if the child is found to be dyslexic, or if you are finding the child to be a low performer due to various reasons, we adapt different methods to assess that particular child. And there it is very flexible for us. But whereas when it comes to evaluation, we cannot have that flexibility. It is uniform method, like ma'am said, it is going to be a common one across the sections of that particular class. That is why this evaluation should be done. Yes, of course, we need to follow up. That comes the next. Why should we follow up? Yes, to improvise the child in that particular area in which she is lagging. That is the overall development of the child. Of course, evaluation is very, very important because we have to see the end result of it. Of course, the end result matters a lot for any promotion. So these are the different categories that we have looked upon: assessment versus evaluation.
Yes.
Any other things would you like to suggest upon these, teachers? Yes. Of course, evaluation can be grade wise or it can be score wise. That is also there. But whatever it is, it has to be evaluated uniformly. Shall I go to the next one, ma'am?
Yes.
So yes, ma'am. Continue.
So the principles to make an evaluation process an effective one, it must be clearly stated as what is to be evaluated. So this is the first thing we do before the upcoming exams. The first thing we do is to give the children portions. So we have to be very clear on the portions what we give to the children. Because sometimes we find there's a lot of confusion. We give some topics and then the teacher go back again and say, sorry, I've given all these topics, but all these topics are after discussing with the teachers, we think, okay, cut off these topics, include this new one. So all these confusions must not be passed on to the student. Within the teachers, we can discuss a number of times as to what are the portions that need to be included for evaluation before giving it to the student. So
once it is given it to the children, you have to stick on to that when we are evaluating. The evaluating techniques are, of course, setting a proper question paper, a standard question paper, all these things. But it should never be out of the portion that has been prescribed for that particular exam or test. So don't from that.
A variety of evaluation techniques should be used for comprehensive evaluation. So that is why in our school we use 80% of the marks will be from the question paper. 5 marks will be for the class test. 5 marks will be for the projects which they do. 5 marks will be for their earlier exams, and 5 marks is for their
cleanliness of their notebook, their regularity
Lab
in
activity.
doing their homework,
Lab.
lab activity. So all that carries a portion of marks, because the sole concentration of their evaluation must not be pinned on to that particular performance on the day of exam. So this is a variety of evaluation techniques we have, so that the child is rewarded for everything. If a child is very regular and doing the homework, maintains the notebook neatly, so why not it be rewarded? Why not we evaluate that character of the child? So even though the majority is given to the exam, we also have a portion so that we include a variety of evaluation techniques. Technique of evaluation must be appropriate for the performance to be measured. Of course, it must always be relating to the learning objective that we intend to measure. We must, some relativity must be there. For example, we cannot evaluate a child's speed of running and give her marks, because we are mathematics teachers. So that is what we mean when we say the technique of evaluation must be appropriate for the performance to be measured. Yes, ma'am. We go to the next slide, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, functions of evaluation. Is that it, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Functions of evaluation. So why do we keep tests? Why should you evaluate the child? We can just teach and then give some homework and then move on to the next class. What is the importance of evaluation? It helps in preparing instructional objectives. So we normally find as teachers, some concept is very difficult for the children to understand this year. In the next course of study meeting, we always come up saying that this concept must not be included, because children had a very high difficulty in understanding that concept there, and we also had difficulty in teaching the concept. So ultimately teaching is to make the student comfortable. So we push that concept to the next year, or push it from the first term to the second term,
or it may not be appropriate for that age, anything for that matter.
Yes, so all these changes in the instructional objectives can be made as teachers, because we judge their performance of evaluation. And then assessing the learners' needs.
30, 32, 34 போட்டிருக்கான். இது key answer.
Ma'am, please, can you mute, ma'am?
இவன் வந்து வெறும் கீழ இருக்கிறத மட்டும் போட்டிருக்கான். மேல இருக்க 20, 24,
Swati ma'am.
இது question
Swati ma'am.
சரி மேம், நம்ம வந்து between 99 to 110 தானே? அப்ப 110 வரக்கூடாது தானே? ஏன்னா between fromனாலும் இதுவும் அதுவும் வரும்.
Yes, ma'am. Then providing feedback to the students. Of course, when we give them feedback after evaluation, when we meet their parents, we record them in the report cards, and then give important feedback to the students. Preparing programmed materials, curriculum development, like like we said, we always change the instructional objectives, which means the curriculum also gets changed on a higher level. And reporting pupils' progress to parents, this is a very important part. After every evaluation, the progress is reported to the parents, and of course through all this happens effective school administration. Yes, ma'am. So now the process of all this process ends with a feedback. So that term, the examination ends, we have all graded, we have recorded, we have put it in our reports, it ends with a feedback. So why we should give the feedback? Why should parents be aware, or why should even the child be aware? Why should we give a feedback? So feedback is an essential part of learning. Providing students with meaningful feedback can greatly enhance their learning and achievement. Of course, even not only in learning, even when we dress up and go outside, when someone says, oh, this is nice or this is not nice, it comes, everything is a feedback for us, and we tend to do changes more so and for children when they come to learning. So feedback should be as specific as possible, which means when we see the paper, we can find specific things. For example, we can say your child must improve your handwriting, which means the arithmetic part is good, but handwriting might be poor. Some children will have beautiful handwriting, but the arithmetic part, they will be very poor in arithmetic. Some children will make so many mistakes while copying numbers from the question paper to the answer paper. They would make a lot of mistakes. So we can be specific. So we should tell them to practice copying numbers from one paper to another paper. So whatever feedback we give, we must be very specific so that the child improves her performance next time. Some children, they would, when they are borrowing, they will write the numbers very closely. For example, 9752 minus something, they will write all the 4 numbers and space it so close that when they are borrowing, it is all a cluster of numbers that you can see in the paper. So we should tell them to arrange the numbers, leave one finger space and write the numbers so that when they are borrowing, when they are writing the carryover, it is all clear in the paper. Some children, they will do all the working in the extra column or in some other paper and write only the answer in the answer place. So that if the answer is wrong, the teacher is not in a position to give marks for these steps. Because of course we give marks for steps, and the steps that is being done by a child in class 4 or class 5 word problem is not clear because she has done it elsewhere and only the answer she has written. So that is not visible. So we must tell the child not to do like that and do the sum on that particular space and not in the rough column. Rough column is only for, and explain her what should be done in the rough column, what should be done in the main column. So feedback must always be specific. We should not generally tell do well, you can do well or something like that. It must be very specific. And of course, sooner the better. So sooner the better. You tell in this exam, the child will definitely correct it for the following exam. Address the learner's advancement towards a goal. So always it must be towards positive development. Present it carefully. So whatever, even as adults we feel, whatever criticism comes our way, if it is worded carefully, then we all accept it in a positive way. So the most important thing is present it very carefully to the child. You appreciate her for whatever she has already done. Your mathematics, arithmetic portion is very nice, very good. Only thing, if you can improve your handwriting more, it will be very good. So appreciate her for whatever she already has done. So situations in which feedback could be counter-productive could be, so in the name of giving feedback, when you closely monitor a child, any child might feel jittery. So we have to maintain that balance and avoid close monitoring of the child. For example, when you call a particular child every day to do a sum on the board, she might feel jittery as to why the teacher is calling only me. She might think the teacher is vindictive towards her. So all those should be avoided. Sense of competition among students. So we should never compare. We should not tell, see, the feedback is you must your paper must be like hers. Your handwriting must be like hers. So we must never instill that sort of competition among students. And to avoid these situations, teachers must fully explain the purpose of any monitoring. So kindly tell the child, why I am telling this is because all these positive changes will happen in you. So I think we should all stay positive and ask the children to work hard and make it happen for them. Yes, thank you, teachers. Tomorrow we would see about how we would set question papers for assessment and evaluation.